Good morning, Your Excellency, President Shimon Peres, dear students and faculty, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Today is a very special day for ADA University. We are a relatively young institution, only next year we will be 10 years old, but we are doing so many firsts that this time, this day also, our great day in terms of hosting Nobel Peace Prize Winner, a living legend of contemporary politics, former President and Prime Minister of Israel, His Excellency Shimon Peres. Mr. President, it's great honor and pleasure for us to see you among our students and faculty. This is a rare opportunity for all of us to hear your vision for world peace, and we are delighted and thankful that you have chosen ADA University to do that. From the very first day, ADA's mission was to create multicultural learning environment where students and faculty from different ethnic and religious groups come together to learn, study, share, and work together. In fact, our first international event, Summer School on Politics and Religion, was organized in 2007 when we hosted Israeli students as well. Today, we are proud to have more than 100 full-time students from 40 countries. Our faculty comes from all over the world, including Israel. We have productive cooperation with many universities around the world, and our latest international partnership agreement for student exchange program was signed with University of Haifa just 5 days ago. Azerbaijan is well known as a place where different cultures and traditions meet. I am sure that your visit, Mr. President, will give you a good chance to witness that. Harmony and peaceful coexistence have always been practiced in the state governance. We are proudly say that ADA University is a small example of this national policy. Mr. President, on a personal note, I have some vivid memories of your exemplary political leadership. When I was ambassador to the United States in the 90s, I had the honor of being present at your meeting with the late President Heydar Aliyev at UN General Assembly meeting in 1995 in New York. I also clearly remember the peace agreement signing ceremony on the lawn of the White House, where I was invited to participate. I have been truly impressed by your efforts to promote peace and dialogue in the world. I believe this is a unique chance for our students and faculty to hear your thoughts on that very important topic. We look forward to an interesting discussion today. And once again, Mr. President, I thank you for choosing ADA University, coming here, and I think it will be very long time remembered that day. Now, I invite you, Mr. President, to present your remarks. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rector Pashayev. First of all, the university looks wonderfully. I understand you rebuild it from the very beginning, and I know the content, not just the buildings, are worthwhile praising and thanking for doing so. I've been to Baku the last time 6 years ago. I came, I must say, I didn't recognize the city. I know you have had an Olympia. I don't know who the winners were or are, but I know there is one great winner, and this is the people of Azerbaijan and its president, Aliyev. I saw you change the sky. Nowadays, don't look right, don't look left, look at the sky. And you penetrate the sky with a modern knife. Not the usual banal buildings, not the square buildings, but really a collection of modernity, of daring, of dreams. You look at the sky, and I think here you have a skyline for the future. I do believe it really represents the wish and the spirit of modern Azerbaijan. I told the president, if I have to prefer a leader, I would rather prefer a leader that builds a city than a leader that conquers a city. Better build than go to war. And I can see this is again the spirit of Azerbaijan. While having the luck of possessing oil and gas, you have the wisdom to build a future based on science, on technology, on peace, on diplomacy, and not to depend upon the lack of oil, but upon the challenge of the modern age. And you know, there were many changes in history between different ages, different leaderships. But I think this time, the change is really profound. I'm telling it to you, young people, young women, young men, because it's your age. And I'm asking myself, what really is the meaning, the significance of the new age? We just departed, or we're still departing, the previous age. The previous age was the age of land. People were living on the land. And now we're living on science. And the difference is profound. When we used to live on land, we have had to go to war. We didn't have a choice. Because if somebody wanted to defend his land, he needed an army. Other countries which were more ambitious wanted to win country. Now, land. You cannot win land unless you attack somebody. So you have two parties, one that won by war, and the other that want to win their land again by war. Look at the history of Europe, water empires. A small island like England tried to conquer India, and they did. And Great Britain became a large empire from sunrise to sunset, as they say. But the Indians never agreed to. And the Indians fought back. And they sent back the Great Britain to the small island. England today is a small island. They lost the empire, and they didn't find a job, you know, they're jobless in a way. And so goes on. Whoever had land had to defend it. Whoever wanted to have land, fought for it. Whoever lost the fight or the war, fought against to regain it. So the history of that age was the history of blood and war, all over the places. And people built armies, and there were many victims. Young people lost their lives. Families were destroyed. It was a bloody period in many ways. Now comes science. For the first time in history, a country can become big without making anybody small. You cannot conquer science with armies, no chance. You can win science without making anybody lose it. So it's a new and a sensational age for all of us. It doesn't mean that we are ready for it, but this is the invitation. This is the challenge. And, it doesn't mean that this is the end of violence. There is violence. Because science itself is not a matter of fighting, but science doesn't take sides. They're available to the right people. Science is available to the wrong people. Both of them can use it. But not as armies and not as nations. The violence today is expressed by terror. Terror is not war. It's a different thing. The terrorists kill without laws. They don't respect borders. They don't care for human beings. They spoil countries. They cut them down. They are bringing tragedies upon tragedies. But contrary also to war, the terrorists don't have an ambition to win something. In my judgment, they are rather a protest than having an ambition. They protest the inferiority, the poverty, the ignorance, the fact that they were given the right opportunity. And the protest, there are different protesters. There is not one camp of terror. There are many camps. 15 terrorists can come to New York, kill 3,500 people and go back. And I'm afraid we cannot overcome the terror just by killing terrorists. You'll kill, there will be others. The United States responds to terror by drones. 7,000 terrorists were killed by pilotless planes. So what? They have more. The only way, really, to put an end to terror is not by killing terrorists, but by killing the reasons for terror. To overcome poverty, to overcome ignorance, to overcome discrimination, to overcome the lack of hope for young women, for young men, who are living in a very demanding and depressing story. But this again is in a different age. The age did not just change. The meaning of war, the cost of war, or not just meeting the challenge of terror, it changed many other things. The most important one is that national governments are not as strong as they used to be. Because national governments were built in a different age, at an age of war, at an age of confrontation. And all of a sudden, armies, for example, don't have a role, because armies cannot conquer science. And science, in turn, does not respect their previous structures. Science doesn't have borders. You cannot put borders on science. Science don't have flags. There's no national science. Science cannot discriminate between people. For science, doesn't matter if you're black or white, or if you're rich or poor. It's available or challenging. And it changed another thing, our concepts about past, present, and future. The past became totally unimportant. So I visited the old city. It's beautiful, and I really admire the way you handle it. But it's something nice to remember, not something functional for the future. And, you know, people say you have to study the past so you won't repeat the same mistakes that were done in the past. I'm not impressed by this suggestion, because suppose you will not make the same mistakes, you'll make new mistakes. Why is a new mistake better than an old mistake? The same thing. It's a waste of time to learn mistakes. You have to learn something else. And to learn something else, you don't have yet teachers. And that is the future. While science, while the past is based on experience, so to speak, the future doesn't have experience. It's innovation. The past is a collection of knowledge. The future is a challenge of innovations. There are no precedent. What we do never had a precedent. And you know, all experts are experts for things that did happen. You don't have experts for things that can happen. And you students, very nice that you study and learn, but what I think you have to do as well is to learn to imagine and to dream, not just to remember. What do you have to remember? But you have so much to meet the new and the changing. And you know, the changes are like a galloping horse. They are very quick. And when the horse passes nearby your home, and you don't mount on the horse, he will run away without you. You will remain where you are. And you have really, all the time, to dream, not to be afraid of, and dream great. Don't dream small. Because for my own experience, I learned, if you dream small, you have small results. If you dream great, you may have better results. And there are no limitations. As there are no borders to the land, there are no limitations to dreams. And when you dream, you join in the march of innovation, the march of having a better world. And we don't have a choice. The world is changing whether we like it or not. Even democracy is changing. Because you don't have national borders in a scientific age. So it's a borderless management. And governments are used to a sort of a leadership which is not really relative to our life. Today, when a political leader stands up and says, I'm great, I'm strong, people ask him, are you? Can you bring an end to terror? No. Can you bring an end to social gap? No. So what makes you think that you're a great leader? And actually, the political leaders are in a deep crisis. Not that they want to be bad fellows, not that they want to lie. They are almost forced to be in a position of not fulfilling what they have promised. Because leaders have to make speeches before the elections, then they promise much, and they cannot implement what they have promised. Because in the 4 years they are leaders, the world is in a deficit, or the old world is in a deficit. Because the standard or the cost of living, each of you knows it, goes up very fast. You have a better dress, it costs more. Better food, it costs more. Better lodging, it costs more. And the salaries are not going up in the same speed. The cost of living goes up because you have innovations. And the salaries are remaining is because you have governments. So there was a need to do something to meet the new age. It was done, and actually today, the economy is in the hands of global companies more than in the hands of governments, global enterprises. Now, there are global companies that they have more money, more power, but there is no global government. A global company today doesn't report to anybody. They have to report to their own clients. They are being elected every day by their clients. And if they are not trusted, if they don't show goodwill, they will be out. But they have to resign. And that's what also changed democracy. Because today to say democracy is the right of every person to be equal is not enough. Today, democracy is not only the right of every person to be equal, but the equal right of every person to be different. Equality and different are today on the same level. And you know, all of us are have a double personality. Because on one hand, we are part of the community. We are part of the many. On the other hand, each of us is an exception to the rule and an exception to the many. You know, we may have the same fingers, but there are no two people, no two persons that have the same fingerprints. We have the same finger, but not the same fingerprints. Which means that today to say in a democratic manner that free speech is part of democracy doesn't answer. Because today to have freedom of speech, for example, everybody can. If you have a smartphone, you can SMS day and night to whomever you want without stop. Nobody will stop you. But what a young lady and a young man would like to have is not just the freedom of speech, the freedom, free expression, but self-expression. Each of you, each of us, would like to express his own inclinations, his own dreams, his own hopes. Because you cannot be satisfied if all of us will be the same. That's, by the way, the reason why people are going over from villages to cities. Because in cities you have a wide choice to select what you want. You have universities like yours. And that changes. I want to tell you as students, from my own experience, one thing that I hope you'll take it seriously. Each of you, each of us, are by far richer than what you think, or your parent thinks, or your teachers think. Every person has a hidden potential, and you can bring it to use and discover that you are capable to do much more than you thought. You know, people are asking me from time to time, how come Israel became such an advanced country in science and technology? The answer, the frank answer, we didn't have a choice, because we have had nothing. Israel is a tiny, small country. Azerbaijan is 4 or 5 times the size of Israel. The land wasn't nice to us. We had swamp in the north, desert in the south. The swamps produce mosquitoes. The desert has stones. You cannot have a dialogue with mosquitoes or with stones. Neither did we have water, nothing whatsoever. We have one famous river by the name of Jordan, but this river has more fame than water. It's a known river, but it doesn't have water. Then we didn't have any natural resources, neither gold nor oil. At that time in the Middle East, they say there are two sorts of countries, the oily countries and the holy countries. We are totally holy. We had nothing whatsoever. Then we were alone and small, surrounded by 40 million Arabs. We were 650,000 people. We didn't have a brother to our language or a sister to our religion. We were totally alone. And we were outmanned and outgunned. You know, we created the kibbutz and the moshav. I was myself a member of a kibbutz. It's a nice way of life, but it doesn't produce any food. It doesn't produce any wealth. What could we do? And then we discovered that we have a natural resource of first rate. That's the human being. That's what I'm telling you. I was myself, as I said, a member of a kibbutz. I got a very high job in the kibbutz. I was a shepherd of cows and sheep. Well, it's nice, you know. But again, you don't become a millionaire out of it. And then people started, each of them, to search what to do, how to improve the vegetables, how to improve the fruits. And without knowing it, we became the first country that has had a high-tech agriculture. We had nothing. Since they wouldn't give us arms, we couldn't buy. So we didn't have a choice but to build our own. Why I'm saying it? Because I want to tell you, I feel like you when I was at your age. You can do a lot more than you think. It doesn't fall from heaven as a gift. You have to learn, you have to be curious, you have to work, you have to dream, you have to imagine, but you have it. Don't miss it. And the fact that you have an individual choice will make our life, your life, more meaningful. Don't miss it. And that was Azerbaijan, and it really needs, because you have good people, you have a good young generation, and you need it. And that, I believe, is what the president wants to do. So keep the oil for the future, but have a future which is not dependent upon oil, but a future which is dependent of human being upon you. And you're responsible. Don't listen to your parents. You're much better than they say. Don't listen to your teachers. They're not nice to you. They don't give you generous marks. They don't encourage you. Don't listen to your friends that from time to time gossip behind your back. Really, believe in yourself, which means to believe in other people as well. Then, you know, every person is the smallest things he has. I think the smallest thing in life is your ego. I think the greatest thing in your life depends upon the cause, the size of the cause you serve. And to serve many is greater and better than anything else. It will make your life more happier, more positive. And I believe that what we have to do is to have your generation to get rid of terrorism, not just of terrorists, which means to get rid of poverty, to get rid of ignorance, to get rid of discrimination, of hatred. And I think for that, the global companies are better built for, because they have really They live on goodwill, they live on trust. They have to show that they are trustworthy. Governments still are half in the old age, in the age of land and wars and suspicion. And there are many changes. You know, I was watching what's happening with Iran. Iran looks like a great danger to the rest of the world, on all sides. In the eyes of the Russians, in the eyes of the Americans, in the eyes of many countries. And how to stop the Iranian, there were different views. Some suggested to return to the Cold War. Some suggested to return even to a hot war. And in an unbelievable manner, all parties that would not agree what is the best way to handle Iran met and agreed about a policy that united the world. It is for the first time that all people and all countries decided not to go to a Cold War, not to go to a hot war, but really try to unite the world, and by doing so, to impact Iran. It's maybe a new option to the options of cold or hot war. And if it will be successful, then it's a way for the future to solve conflicts. Not by shooting, not by threatening, not by hating, but really trying to come together. I see now the maneuvers between the United States and Russia. Personally, I believe both of them don't want war. What for war? Killing more people? What for war? Having more refugees? No matter to which nation you believe, when you see, for example, the refugees from Syria, the old mothers, the small children, our heart is broken, all of us. No matter if we are Arabs or Jews, doesn't matter. Or Azerbaijanians or Americans. Why should it happen? And also, you know, refugees, you cannot kill by killing the people that's supposed to absorb them. I think what should be done here, like in terror, is to refer to the cause. And the cause is, instead of having foreign workers coming from Africa and working in Europe, let the Europeans send their work to Africa and stop unemployment and stop poverty. And by the way, technology will help them to achieve it. So it's really a new age, and you're a young age. And get rid of the past. Well, if you have an old city like it, keep it. It's a beautiful piece. But basically, look for a new city, or a city that will meet the new. And the new is that in the center of human strength is the human being. That without technology, we cannot just improve machines or robots. We can improve the human being himself. Today, it's easier to improve your eyes than to build glasses. You can improve your eyes, your heart, your stomach, everything. You can make everybody better, more educated. So this is why I really wanted to meet you. And deliver, I'm not sure, a message which is accepted by the many, but occasionally even the few are right. And I believe this is the right, maybe not for the many, but for the future. And the future belongs to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is, I believe, best lecture our student could get, and I believe that it will be remembered, as I said, for a long time. And I believe that, and I hope that faculty of our university will use these theses from this speech for own classes and to provide some special assignment in terms of some courses and coming from this speech. Thank you very much, Mr. President. You look at past, present, and future. I believe it's your point about to look at this new concept of the past, present, and future. I think interesting concept, and I believe that we have to promote these ideas among our university students. I personally very thankful to you, Mr. President, once again, for giving us this opportunity to hear your very thoughtful presentation, and I hope that we will have you another time at our university. And as I said, it's best experience myself and our students had for today, and we are very much appreciative of your speech. Thank you very much. Mr. President, if you allow us to have some questions, okay?
Dear students and faculty members, if you have your questions, please come and line up here, and you will have a chance to ask your questions.
Mr. President, first of all, I would like to echo distinguished Rector Pashayev and say Baruch haba to Azerbaijan. We are so much honored and privileged to have you and to listen to you. And I hope to cherish this opportunity to tell my kids and grandkids about meeting with you and listening to you. I fully share your thoughts about the future and importance of innovation and dreams, but I cannot refrain from asking you a question about a great historical figure that you were so close to. And I just finished reading your book of conversations with David Landau about David Ben-Gurion. So my question is, what do you think would be David Ben-Gurion's advice to the nation and the government of Azerbaijan in current situation, under current circumstances? Thank you.
Well, I don't think Ben-Gurion would say anything he will do. The problems of leaders is not to speak, but to do. You know, the problem in life is not what to be, but what to do. And, you know, since I worked with Ben-Gurion for 20 years, it took me when I was a very young man, I think I was 26 or 27, and they gave me a central role in the Ministry of Defense. So I know him quite well. And I know there are some things that people don't pay attention to. First of all, Ben-Gurion was an innocent man. He didn't have a drop of cynicism in his heart. He was fighting, he was courageous, but never cynical. The second thing, Ben-Gurion thought that the first call for every human being is the moral call. To be a moral person is more important than to be rich or powerful or anything else. Morality is the real wealth. He thought there's nothing wiser in life than to be a moral person. It doesn't cost much, by the way. You don't pay for being a moral man. The third, he hated lies. I know from my experience, if I would lie once, that would be my last day in the office. He wouldn't forgive me. He thought we have to have truthful relations. And then don't fear and don't try to frighten. Don't fear yourself, but don't frighten other people. Don't believe, don't hesitate to remain alone if you feel you are right. You know, he was more than 10 years prime minister. He resigned 15 times, 15 times. But he had a good people, but every time they called him back. It doesn't happen to many politicians. But when he disagreed, he resigned. And he gave everybody an equal chance, including a matter of ages. He didn't wait until I shall become old, for example. Says, if you can do, do. And then he thought that we have to make real peace with our Palestinian neighbors. He thought so, not because it's politically correct, but first of all because it's morally our call. We weren't born to govern anybody else. Well, the land is small, and there are two different people. And he had the courage, at his very first step as a leader, to say, I prefer a Jewish state on part of the land than the whole of the land without a Jewish state, a Jewish and democratic state. And he fought for it all his life. He never changed his mind. And he would today do the same in my judgment. And I think we have to do the same. And I think anything else is a mistake. Because we have to respect the Arabs as human beings, and they have to respect us as human beings, because we are human beings. Furthermore, in that case, we have had the same family almost, Abraham. And now when you look on history, you ask yourself, you know, the greatest killer in human annals was war. No other malady or sickness or mistake kills so many people. Men and women, young and old. And what for? What are the results? There is nobody in history that really won a war. You could have won for a short while, but you never had a permanent victory. You know, the greatest warrior was Genghis Khan. Genghis Khan killed 12% of the population of his time. 12%. And they are all over the world. But 88% remained alive. And they killed him. There was no future for war. Hitler killed 2% of the world population. What did he do? Brought shame upon the Germans, brought doubts in the hearts of the people, raised the question if there is a difference between a man and a wild animal. So the wars are good for a while, but not for a long time. The only victory is peace, because peace can be continued. We made peace with Egypt. It is still peace. We made peace with Jordan. It is still peace. We tried to make peace with the Palestinians. We didn't complete it, but we have to complete it. Otherwise, the Palestinians and us and our young people will pay. President Sadat, who came from Egypt to Jerusalem, said afterwards, look, he says, we lost every year 150,000 young people. What for? What for? So the only victory is peace. And you know what? Peace holds on, even in Europe. Already 70 years, there was no war. All the rest, the Europeans lost their empires. They paid for it. But what now? Russia, the same. The United States too, but the United States didn't try to become an empire. So they were much better. And I believe we can live without war, all of us. And without war is not a theory. You have to be down to earth. As the people are saying now, President Obama says, no booth on the ground. It's enough. And I think Obama is right. I mean, America was for 30 years in Afghanistan. Actually, they didn't want to conquer Afghanistan. What they wanted is to force them to have democracy. So they spent $1 trillion. They lost thousands of lives. And what? They are criticizing Obama. I think Obama is right. Obama says the age has arrived that we don't need the luxury of war, that we can afford the alternative of peace. So that's true, in my judgment.
Hello, Mr. Peres. My name is Sevin Mehtiva, and I'm currently getting my bachelor's degree in economics in ADA. And I wanted to say, first of all, that was a great and wonderful and inspiring speech.
The
Thank you.
microphone is too close to your mouth,
okay.
so we can hardly hear you.
Okay, that was a really inspiring speech. Thank you. I think everyone will agree with me that the words that you said are like, we can apply them, everyone can apply them to their lives. And my question is kind of related to economics, which I'm studying here. I know that you were former Minister of Finances in Israel, you were former Minister of Military, you were former Minister of Transportation and Communications in Israel. And I wanted to ask you, what do you think? Should Azerbaijan invest right now? Should Azerbaijan invest more in military sector? Should we invest more in science sector? Or maybe there is like any other sector that you think we should like develop more right now?
You know, I changed my idea about what is a leader. In the new age, I think if a leader wants to serve the people, he must understand that he has to serve, not to rule them. A leader is not a ruler. A leader is a servant. And a leader is not a man that wants to reach the top rank, the highest rank, but to be ahead in the advancement of the people. To be ahead is more important than to be on the top. And I'll tell you what changed my mind in a few words. I have been, you know, Prime Minister, among other things, and also President. Prime Minister has force, has strength, has administration. He can issue or suggest laws. And when I was Prime Minister, I was quite controversial, you know, people didn't like it. No minister was happy with me. Why? Every minister thought he can be the Prime Minister. It's me that doesn't let him to be Prime Minister. So he was angry with me. What could I do? And you know, when I asked, on what did I spend my time as a Prime Minister? Basically and mostly handling frictions between people. Ministers were unsatisfied, parties were unsatisfied, everybody was criticizing. Then I became president. As a president, I didn't have any power. I didn't have any administration, nothing whatsoever. But I discovered something that I feel it was possible. And that is that the very same people who weren't happy with me, so to speak, I didn't give them any orders, but I turned to them and I asked them to volunteer. And to my great surprise, the very same people who criticized me, I asked them to volunteer, yes. And finally I learned that as a president I could do more than a prime minister. I didn't face any opposition, you know, because people didn't think that I'm dealing with power. But I'm serving as I should. And I ask them to serve as they should. And for that reason, it's not important what is my title, what is my name. It's unimportant totally. What is important is what you do, and not what you are being called. People are too much impressed by ranks, minister, prime minister, whatever, general. What you have to impress is by your dreams. And, people ask me, what is your greatest achievement in life? My answer is, the one that I shall do tomorrow. What I did is not important anymore. Then they ask, what is your greatest mistake in life? I say, the greatest mistake in my life, and I look back, is some of my dreams were too small. Don't dream small. I regret every small dream. And I suggest I'm now writing a book, which is being called Don't Dream Small. I took 10 decisions that I have had the pleasure to decide. All of them at time, when they appeared, created a great deal of controversy. Today they are very much admired. But for myself, I think you weren't daring enough. You could have dreamed more and stronger. And that is my advice. Look differently. Your credit depends upon the trust of the people and is judged by their trust. So if you want to serve the public, serve. Don't try to rule. Don't be impressed by ranks or these sort of things.
Okay, my name is Sabir Obayev. I am currently getting my bachelor degree from computer science. And first of all, I want to say that welcome to Azerbaijan. It was honor for me to listen to your speech, and I would like to say that you are a great motivator. My question is about technology, information technology. And can information technology and innovation systems be used for peace? Thank you for that.
Well, information is very important, but don't think that information can replace facts and doing. Information is a mean. It's not a creator. It may bring people together. It may spread dreams, yes. But don't think that, say, if you make a great speech, you did something great. It's not the size of the speeches, by the depth of your actions. Now, information is important because people don't want to be alone. While you are alone, as I have said, on one hand, but you also feel as a party of the many, of the society, on the other hand. And information is as good as it is truthful. Don't use information to spread lies. That's disinformation. You know, Heine said once about the Germans that they have invented the print to spread foolishness. So information is just a road. But you have to decide where do you want to go. The fact that you have a road doesn't mean anything. What you have to decide is what is your target, where do you want to arrive. So information is important to keep links among people, truthful, but it can become dangerous if you try to use it to bluff or to lie. Don't do it.
Thank you. We have here two questions about the career, distinguished career of Mr. President. So I will ask them to raise their questions at the same time.
Good morning. My name is Yafet Sultanova. And my question is about, I felt so motivated after I read your biography, and you were involved in so many professional aspects, military, finance, economics, and so on.
We don't hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry. You were involved in so many professional aspects as military, economics, and so on. How did you manage your time to learn all of that? Did you learning by doing, or maybe you have some, you get some lectures? I'm really very interested in, as a student, in that aspect.
Well, it's a good question. You know, I didn't finish a university. Until the age of 26, I didn't know a single word of English. I really learned by reading and by listening. And I thought there is no end to learning. It's not when you finish university, you learned already. You learn at university something which is very important, and that is how to ask questions. But to find answers, you have to continue and to learn. I suggest some changes in the social structure. I shall mention one because it will take otherwise a long time. You know, today a girl or a boy at the age of 14 or 15 are a ready-made person. They are stronger built, they are better informed, and they don't have a real role in society. We send them to the schools, but we don't let them, for example, to go to work because we think he's a child, and because we think the working place is dark and dangerous. It used to be, years ago, not now. And I think that we have to enable the young boys and girls to have a role in real life. I suggest that at the age of 14, 15, 16, a student, a girl or a boy, will work for 2 hours a day, study less 2 hours. First of all, to be young is very demanding. Young people are very short of means, you know, it's very hard for them. So let them make a penny, why not? Then again, they may learn at the working place not less than at school. And they are engaged, because otherwise they don't know what to do with their energies. So they go to parties at night and drink vodka, God knows what they do. Why not? Let them learn, let them work, let them make part of a living. On the other hand, I suggest that people that work already, we shall cut their hours of work from 8 to 6 and let every worker study for 2 hours. Because if you won't learn, you lose your job. Everything is changing. So let the young work. You know, that is one of the, I told it yesterday to the president, he asked me about it. That's what is being done in Israel. Students at the university are coming together, 2 or 3 of them, and they make a high-tech company. We have 13,000 companies like it, 60,000 students. Some of them are already millionaires. But what they learn at the university is not just theory, but also entrepreneurship, how to become an entrepreneur at a young age. We have scientists at the age of 15, 14. Their mind is fresh, they are informed, they are far from being fools. But why should they be rejected? On the other hand, you have to study until the end of your life. And you know, people say, well, where do you take time? My answer is very simple. I enjoy working more than resting. I don't know why people rest. What for? You know, some people say, why don't you retire? Buy a dog and go to the beach and enjoy your life. If I shall do it, I don't know what the dog will do. I don't know what the beach will do. I know I shall be annoyed. I don't need neither the dog nor the beach. What I need is to work. I enjoy working. What is working? It's learning, it's creating, it's being engaged. And I'm not young as you, I'm only 92 years. But I think you are as young as you dream. And you may become old if you lose your dreams. So that's the way I think, and that's the way I do in my life.
There are many more questions, but time is limited, so I pass the floor back to Rector.
Once again, Mr. President, thank you for coming to EDA. And as I said, it will be remembered a long time, and our students, I believe, not all of them, of course, those who are present here, I think they are very lucky that we are able to listen to you and to get your very valuable thoughts. And if you allow us, Mr. President, we will use this lecture, actually, in our classes to deliver this lecture to other students. And even if you allow us, we will publish it.
I'm in your hands.
Okay. Mr. President, I want to give you a small present on today's event. This is a medal which we give, university medal.
Have a look.
Thank you.